Hello YouTube and welcome to another Cisco ASA tutorial. So in this video we'll continue our series about Splunk. So in the last video I showed you how to integrate Splunk with Cisco ASA. So in this video I'll show you some basic search and report using Splunk. So are you ready? Let's get started. So as you can see, this is the main interface, or actually the home page of our Splunk Enterprise that we have installed in the last video. So in this video I will show you how you can do with it. Okay, so as you can see here, the main menu is actually search and reporting. So actually here Splunk is receiving, as you have seen, Syslog messages from our Cisco ASA. So in order to see this Syslog messages, you click on this search and report. Okay, so here we go. So you can see here we have about 41,777 events that actually reached our Splunk, and this is for 2 days ago. Okay, so if you want to see all the events, all you have to type here in this search actually input is an asterisk. Okay, so you put an asterisk and you hit enter, and voila, you can see all the Syslog messages that arrives on port UDP 514. As you can see here, this is the source to our Splunk server. Okay, and with the timeline. So of course, in order to do some basic searching on the Syslog, you have actually to read the events in order to see what you get. So actually beside each event there is an arrow here. You click on it and it will gives you another view of the events with the different fields. So here, for example, you can see the host. This is 192.168.1.2. this is actually our Cisco ASA appliance, and source, of course, it arrives on the port UDP 514. This is the well-known port for Syslog servers. Okay, and the source type, as we have mentioned it on the last video, is the Cisco ASA. Okay, so here if I return back to our Syslog, you can see that I have different messages here: tear down, dynamic TCP, translation. We have a lot of things here that are happening. Okay, so let's say, for example, that we want to see the authentication that happened to our Cisco ASA appliance. So all we have to do is to replace this asterisk by the keyword that we want to filter for. Okay, so I will type authentication, and here you can see that Splunk is intelligent enough to offer us actually the keyword that we are looking for, which is authentication. So I will select it and I will hit enter. So here you can see all the event that contains the keyword authentication. So here you can see in authentication, user authentication has been succeeded, okay, or successful, but we have also some failed authentication. Okay, so here, for example, we have authentication failed. Okay, so there are a lot of authentication. So here there is a mix actually between authentication succeeded and authentication successful. So let's, for example, you want to filter just for authentication that has been failed. So you can see Splunk is intelligent enough to offer us a choice that we can choose from. So let's, for example, filter just on authentication failed. Here we go, and we hit enter. So now we have only the authentication that are failed. So here we have about 4 authentication, okay, that has been failed. And do not forget, there is here a timeline that you can choose from. So we have actually here for the last 24 hours only for events. But if we expand this timeline here, for example, last 7 days, you can see now that we have 8 events. Okay, so do not forget that. Always take a look at your timeline. So let's say the authentication that has been failed for just last 5 minutes, for example. So here we choose the 5-minute window. So we have nothing in the last 5 minutes. Okay, so I will return back to our last 24 hours. Okay, and you can do the same for the authentication that has been successful. So if I type just the first letters, it offers me a choice. Okay, and of course I can filter with that. So for the authentication that has been successful for the last 24 hours. Okay, but actually, in order for the Cisco ASA to have actually better filters, you can see here for the events, each event has what we call an ID here. So for example, for this authentication successful, we have an ID of 113,012. Okay, so as you can see here in this event messages, so we can actually just filter using this ID here. Okay, so if I replace this authentication successful by the ID, hopefully we'll get the same result. We have also 3 results, as you can see here. Okay, and we can do the same for the authentication that are actually failed. Let's take a look at the ID here. So this time the ID is 611,102. Okay, so let's filter with it, and we have the same result. Okay, but actually there is a website from Cisco that you can take a look at each event if you want. Okay, so for example, for the authentication successful, we have this ID here. So if you go to this website from Cisco, so you'll find the link on the description here. So it's called Cisco Secure Firewall ASA Series Syslog Messages. Okay, so here you have the different IDs for each event with a little explanation. So for example, if I copy this ID here for the authentication successful, I can look it up here. Here we go. This is our ID here. If I click on it, you can see here authentication successful and explanation. The user associated with ISP or IPsec actually or web VPN connection has been successfully authenticated to the local user database. Okay, so here there is very important. If you want to filter by a message, you can take a look at this web page from Cisco, which gives you a lot of explanation about each message or event ID. Actually, there is also a very important thing here. So let's say, for example, you want actually to get this results on visual. So you can do that using what we call pipes. So let's filter by this ID here, and I will pipe it using the special keyword time chart. Okay, and here I will count by host. Here we go. Let's execute this query actually. And here, if you go to visualization, you can see here for the event authentication successful, we have 2 on March 18, 2024. Okay, around the 6:30 p.m. So we have 2 login successful, and we have also 1 on 2030. Okay, but remember, just is dashed for the last 24 hours. So let's expand that for the last 7 days. You can get more results. So here we have actually 3 on March 18, but we have also 8 on March 17. Okay, and of course you can transform this chart to whatever visualization you want. So here we are using by default column chart, but you can change it, for example, to any other representation. For example, I can do that to see also in different graphical visualization. Okay, I can use pie chart if I want. Okay, so this is the beauty of Splunk. It offers us a lot of features that we can use for, and of course here I can print that, I can export it, I can share it. Okay, you can export it to, for example, CSV if you want. Okay, and there is also something very interesting here. So let's return back to our actually last 24 hours column chart. You can save that as a report. Okay, so for example here there is save as. I can save that as a report. I can name it, for example, last 24 hours successful login. I can save that. I can make a description here and I can save that. Okay, so now whenever I want this report, I can just go here to the menu reports, and you can see that our report has been successfully actually saved in this chart here. So I can click on it and I will get the same results. Okay, so this is also very useful if you want to keep all the interesting report that you have saved. Okay, and there are actually some reports by default. For example, here there is error in the last 24 hours. Okay, so this came by default on the Splunk. If you want to see the query, you can just click here on open in search, and you can see here the query that Splunk uses by default. So whenever there is in our actually Syslog messages an error or failed or severe keyword or source type access 400.04 or 500 or 503, they will be filtered. So you can see here we have all the events that has some keywords like failed or error or something here that are listed. So you can tweak the queries actually depending on your needs. Okay, and of course you can return back to all events just using the asterisk and hit enter. Okay, so you can see how easy it is to use Splunk in order to get some very important and interesting security actually filters for your Cisco ASA. So that's why just a brief video to show you how you can use queries in Splunk in order to filter your Syslog messages with interesting actually events. As always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.